You have applied to thousands of jobs. You are active on LinkedIn. Your resume is updated. And for some reason, you are not able to get a single interview. I want you to know that it is not just you. This is the craziest job market that I have seen in a very long time. I've been saying that all of 2024 because I really mean it. It is truly, truly, truly an employer's market in every single sense of the word. If you are really struggling to get an interview and you are desperately looking for your first job, to change careers, to change industries, this episode is dedicated to helping you get ahead and helping you get in the interview. Now, next week's episode is going to be a total breakdown of how to prepare for the interview that I guarantee you're going to get by the end of this episode. And we're also going to make sure that we are answering some questions and getting into all of that good stuff over the next few episodes. Okay, new setup. Okay, new setup. Okay, new setup. Hi, it's Emily Durham, the host and producer of the Straight Shooter Recruiter podcast, the show designed to help you thrive in your 9 to 5 and beyond. I'm so happy to be back. This season is going to be delicious. It's going to be delectable because I see this show specifically above any other channel as like the most unfiltered, raw advice, stuff that I can't really get into in short form, like on Instagram or on TikTok. Plus, it gives you and I a chance to straight up talk in the comments to answer your specific questions. So if you're not already subscribed or haven't rated the show, please do that. Join the fam. I'm telling you, this is the exclusive spot to get yourself hyped up and then get yourself paid. We love money in this neck of the woods. We really do. I first want to talk about why the job market is so bad, mostly so that you understand that it is not you. Like, this is not a you thing. So, in the pandemic, I don't want to talk about it, but there were a lot of things that were shifting. Because people were working from home, companies started hiring individuals globally. So if you were a US based company, you would hire talent anywhere around the world. And because at times this meant the talent was less expensive, for example, a software engineer in Canada is almost half the price of hiring a software engineer in the US, which is crazy. People overhired. Instead of hiring one engineer in California, they hired two or three in Toronto. And then all of a sudden, there was this overhead. It was way more expensive to almost double their employee count. Things like benefits, things like efficiency, because once a team gets a certain size, it's really hard, to operate and be streamlined. Companies started to realize, oh crap, did we just overhire? And guess what? The answer was yes. The answer was yes. And then what did they do? No, they didn't open up new teams. They didn't use the manpower to deliver new products or new benefits to their customers. They said, y'all can go home. They really said, nice to meet you. It's time for you to leave. Thank you. Next. And that's when we started seeing layoffs. Here's to you, Shopify, Meta, Google. I'm pretty sure Netflix did some too. There were mass stinking layoffs. And then people started to panic because during the pandemic, there was such a demand for talent. It was actually a candidates market. We were more expensive. We were more picky with where we went. We also cared a lot more about our wellness than we did companies, just by nature of everything that was going on. So fast forward to today, what the heck's going on? Well, basically, we've overcorrected to the point where it is now so far in the employer's scope. Layoffs are somehow still happening, and they're using excuses like, oh, overhiring or oh, change in direction. Okay. Basically, what it is really poor planning, overhiring, and squeezing out as much labor as you could possibly get from those new hires and then releasing them back into the wild. The challenge is all of these companies created jobs just to eliminate them. So now there's an imbalance. There's more candidates than there are available positions. This has nothing to do with you. If you are someone who is fresh out of school or even like 15 years into your career and you're thinking, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get interviews? It is not you. It is the market that capitalism has created. And this is why I always preach be selfish, do what you need to do. There is no company that is going to have your back as much as you will have your back. So go into this whole process understanding this is not a reflection of your skill or your qualifications. This is a reflection of late stage capitalism. Should I drop an album? I should drop an album. You're probably also seeing a lot of content online. I've actually seen this too, where they say there's a lot of dummy postings. So you go on LinkedIn, and some people have said 40% of job postings on LinkedIn are dummy job postings. They're not real. The jobs are already filled. I'm here to confirm that that is true. That's pretty true. Granted, the companies I've worked for didn't do that. They were really good at like closing the job the second that wasn't the case. But a lot of companies are keeping postings going because it gives their company a sense of optimism in the market. Oh, if Google is hiring, that must mean Google is doing well. No, that means that job posting has been up for 8 months. They actually already have an internal candidate, and you're applying to a job that is not going to be responding to you. The challenge is there is almost no way to tell what is a dummy job and what isn't. What I can say is if you see a job posting that's been up for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and it's not something that's super niche and hard to find, have a little side eye. Don't get too attached to that job. Still apply, but don't get too attached. I wish I could lie to you and say that there's a secret trick. There is not. What you need to do is literally double the amount of jobs that you're applying to. And I'll get into specific tips on that in a second. But you really need to be committed to doing this. Even if it's just an hour a day to apply for jobs, you need to pump out that volume. You also really need to over index on building relationships, asking for help, asking for referrals, because 80% of jobs are filled with referrals. And in a market where things are so volatile, it is more important now than ever to have somebody in your corner who can say, yeah, Emily does amazing work. We should be considering her over the other 2,000 applications for this position. Be honest about your years of experience. If you have 5 years of experience, you are not at the director level. You are probably at an analyst, senior analyst, maybe manager level based on your industry. So only apply for jobs where you legitimately match the qualifications. And when I say legitimately, babe, I mean, don't listen to that voice in the back of your head telling you you're not qualified because that's not legitimate. If you have 4 years of experience and the job posting is asking for 5, you will be applying. I can tell you right now, you will be applying. You don't want to apply for jobs where you are grossly underqualified, meaning you meet less than 30%, maybe 40% of the qualifications. Anything where you meet half or more, go for it. But just don't be silly about job titles. On that note, make sure you're thoughtful about the jobs you're applying to at companies. If you're applying to 15 different positions at varying levels at the same company, I can almost guarantee that the recruiter for that role is going like, is this person good? Like, why did you apply for director of finance, financial analyst, financial intern? They're going to look at you and think, you're a hot mess. I'm not moving forward with you. Now, you might be asking yourself, in addition to the crappy environment, what are the 3 core reasons you're not getting interviews? The first is your resume isn't even getting opened. They haven't even opened it. They're not aware. And part of that is because of referrals. So if you are new to networking, go listen to my older episodes. I have one last season all about networking that is so juicy and so detailed. Part of why you aren't getting interviews is because the job has already been filled with a referral. Tough pill to swallow, but that person has a friend who has a cousin who is a dog walker who took your dream job. That is why you need to index heavy, heavy, heavy on networking. So make sure that's like a really core priority for you. So if you do see a job that you're really, really interested in, look through your contacts, friends, professionally, friends of friends, go on LinkedIn, see who you've connected with, and reach out to people who work at the company you want to work at. So after you apply for the job, you reach out and say, hey, I applied for XYZ job posting, super interested in learning more. Let me know if you have time to connect. Your goal is to get that person on the phone for literally 10 minutes. You ask to learn a bit more about why they like their job, why they like this company. You pitch yourself and then say, do you happen to know who's hiring for this job? I'd love to chat with them. If you make the focus on building a relationship and getting to know them first and then asking, hey, can you hook me up? They're going to hook you up. People like feeling like they're helping people that authentically want to get help. Not that, they don't want to feel like they're being used. So if you start with building the relationship, that makes a difference. You also want to make sure that your resume is applicant tracking system friendly. This is like a hard topic because I think a lot of people talk about the applicant tracking system as if it's this like brilliant robot. And girl, coming from someone who's worked in this space, it's not. Like the applicant tracking system isn't throwing out your resume. What it is doing is making it more challenging for people to find your resume. You don't need to have every keyword listed on the job description in order to have a good resume. What you need to do is make sure you've applied in PDF format. Make sure you do have a few of those keywords. Make sure there's nothing like too difficult to digest graphics wise. So no photos, which opens the door for like bias and discrimination. So you don't want to do that anyways, but nothing that could potentially make the system go, oh, is this spam? Like, is this a flyer? Keep your resume relatively simple, save it in PDF, upload it that way. If you really want to knock the ball out of the park, God, you can tell I don't watch sports because I had to think about that a lot. You can customize your resume for each job, but knowing the volume of roles you're going to have to apply to get the work, it's not a good use of your time. So what I would say is have a core 2 or 3 resumes based on each type of job that you are looking out for, and then have important keywords for those industries. So for example, if you're applying for marketing positions and you're into SEO and like online search engine yada yada, put those specific keywords in there. You don't want to waste your time being like synergy, collaboration, blah blah blah. Boo. That's not helping anybody. So just have a really well done resume. I would also advise removing any markers of age on your resume just as a best practice. So, no photos. If you're applying for jobs in different cities, remove your address. Duh. Um, I do have mixed feelings about your graduation year. I would say if you've got more than 10 years of experience, take your grad year off of it. You don't want people aging you. Okay, scenario number 2 is that your resume is getting opened, but then you're still not getting a call back. So, why is that happening, bestie? Don't worry. I've got you. I've got my little notepad. Okay, so number 1, your work experience might not be clear. I see this a lot where people actually have really amazing work experience, but I read their resume and it's not clear what they've done. I have talked a lot about the importance of having a clearly defined resume, but if your grandmother is reading your work experience and doesn't understand it, Houston, we have a problem. Babes, we got a problem. The first line under your work experience section should be in theory, one sentence summarizing the work that you've done. Like that's what you want to do. The purpose of my job is to blah, 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 with the outcomes of blah, blah, blah. You set the context, and then suddenly all the details underneath that really matter. The other reason you might not be getting success is that your resume doesn't carry weight. You're underselling the work that you've done. And it is hard, right? We all feel uncomfortable boasting about ourselves. Like it's weird, it feels cheesy. Yeah, who cares? The only time it's appropriate to boast is on your dating profile and on your resume, baby. Step it up. What you need to do is use data. The best way to show the quality and the quantity of your work is through data. So, what I want you to do is have at least one data point in each of your core work experiences. And I talk about this so much because it is life changing. Like it is one data point. That's it. I had an impact of, 600 people used this product I work on. I served 600 customers. I, managed a team of 3. Call out specific data points so people get the gravity and the scale as well as the scope of your work. The third scenario is that your resume was opened, your resume is really good, and you legitimately are the best person for the job. And this is the hardest one to swallow. This is where referrals and references really come in. You might be the best person for the job. That team might have lost their budget and they can't hire. That manager might have lost their headcount. They might have hired someone they had to hire because it was a referral from a very senior person. All of these things can be true. And this is why it's so important when we do get rejected, go back to the team and ask for feedback. And it's scary. Like, I hear you. I don't want someone telling me what's wrong with me. No, I want someone to look at me and say, God, you are the best thing that's ever happened. And it's so true. It's so true. But if we don't get feedback, dude, we're not going to grow. And the best thing you can do is if you get declined or rejected, reach out via email, thank them for their time, ask for feedback. You're either going to get context, like we hired someone internally, sorry, and then at least you know it wasn't you, or you're going to find out specifically how you can improve. The magic comes in when you ask someone for feedback, they give you the feedback, and then you ask to stay in touch. And every 5 weeks, you're reaching out, you're seeing how they're doing, you're asking if there are more roles open. Boom. The next time there's a job, they're seeing, wow, this person is persistent. This person has the skills. I see them growing. Let's put them back in the process. I know people personally who have gotten jobs through this route. It is life changing. It also is genuinely going to help you grow. I know it is so easy to sit here and say, oh, like rejection is redirection. Everything's going to be fine. Rejection sucks. Being told we are not good enough for the job really hurts. What we need to do is stop hearing rejection and hearing I'm not good enough because that's not what rejection is saying. Rejection is saying this specific opportunity isn't a match. It might not have been the job that would have made you happy. It might not be the best opportunity that is coming. And I know you want that job. I know it. I know the job you want, you will get. It might take time. It might take 1,000 applications. It might take a bunch of really crappy interviews. It's going to take a lot of picking yourself back up after being told no. And that's hard. Like I've been there. That's not something that's easy. That's not something that's light. It's stressful and it makes you question your worth. All of that is normal. What you need to do is give yourself grace. You are investing in your career. Just by listening to this show, you're investing in your career. You're invested in your growth. Just by listening to this show, you are investing in your growth. You are doing everything you can. And sometimes we need to just do that and trust that things will work out Keep putting in the work. You will get the results you want. I will never forget, I applied for a job. Oh my God, this had to be like 5, 6 years ago now. And it was for a senior recruiter at a pretty large insurance. I'll just say it, I don't care. Intact Insurance. Intact Insurance. Interviewed for a senior recruiter role there. I wanted this job so bad. I was working at BMO still, so I had like the finance itch. Like I loved it. I really wanted to stay in the space. I had the interview. I loved the manager. I loved the work. I felt so ready. I also knew I probably had 3 or 4 years less experience than the other candidates they were probably considering. And after my interview, the manager was honest. She's like, "Listen, you're great. You are not senior enough to perform at the level I need you to perform at, but let's stay in touch." And I was shattered. I was absolutely disheveled. I felt like a failure. I felt stupid for even going for a job I knew I was underqualified for. And now looking back, not 6 months later, I got a life-changing job at Intuit. The job that changed my career came 6 months after that redirection. 6 months. I spent a lot of those months really upset, beating myself up, feeling like a loser. The second I got that offer from Intuit, I was like, holy shit, this is going to change my life. And it did. It was the best thing that ever happened to my career was signing that job offer at Intuit. And I would not have signed that job offer. I would not have started this podcast because a big push for me was working at a company that really valued entrepreneurs. Like it just was. I wouldn't be where I am in my career if I got that job at Intact Insurance. So, you know what, Intact? I forgive you. I forgive you. It's fine. I've got some exciting news, like really exciting news. Okay, so effective this season, moving forward, you are getting 2 episodes of the Straight Shooter Recruiter podcast every week, one on Sunday and one on Wednesdays. So nothing is changing. All you're getting is more, babe, because I want more of you. I want more one-on-one time. I want us to talk more. I have so many things that we're going to get to, but your episodes on Sundays are going to continue to be short, sweet career episodes that you are used to, that we've been doing for 4 years, that we love. And then on Wednesdays, I'm introducing a new segment. It is called What Would Emily Do?, where we are going to answer your questions. They are questions dedicated episodes. If you head over to my Instagram at Emily the Recruiter, I'm going to be hosting polls every week asking for your opinions on the question of the week. The one I just recently did on Instagram was talking about workplace drama, toxic bosses, and you also have an opportunity to send in your questions and your stories, both over DM, both with the link that I'll post on my stories that I have in the description where you can submit a form and tell me your story or ask your question. And I've also opened up voicemail. So if you literally want us to talk and it go on the show, that's an option too. I want to have all of the answers for you. I want to talk. I want to hear your perspectives. And let me tell you, some of the things you guys have submitted for the toxic coworker segment is crazy. There was some crazy ish on there. I can't wait to talk more. We're gonna have so much fun this season, and let me know if there's topics you want to cover, things you want to chat about. I literally love when you and I just get to like sit down, hype each other up, get good information, and get our weeks off to a good start. So happy Sunday. We're back, baby. I'm so excited to be hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating and a review. And babes, usually I would say I'll talk to you next week, but I'll talk to you Wednesday, sweet cheeks. Mwah.